Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Look at this lineup. Frank Leboeuf, Jan Fjortoft, Gab Marcotti. Gab, the first question is for you. Are you and Jules fighting? It's only one of them at a time on the podcast these days. What is going on? The world wants to know, Gab.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a fierce battle. We're battling over custody of Robbo. That's kind of the... No, look. We had, I don't know if you might have noticed, but we had a global pandemic where everything shut down. Jules and I doubled the podcast to twice a week, working twice as hard. Football went on forever, right? Right through July and August and the Champions League. I think we're entitled to a few days off in that tiny sliver in between the Champions League final and the start of the Premier League and the Bundesliga. So I had a week off, then Jules had a week off, but never fear. The great man is coming back on Thursday, and it will be the Gab and Jules show again for the foreseeable future.
Phew, everyone can sleep soundly tonight now. To Frank, is Depay good enough to play for a club like Barcelona? I feel the pressure of a big club got to him during his time at Manchester United.
That's a good question. I think Depay has been absolutely fantastic last season with the Netherlands, but I still think that it was not good enough with Lyon. And we saw that the quarterfinal and the semi-final of the Champions League was Lyon almost played 10 against 11. I saw it again tonight, where desperately I wanted to see something from him. He had a chance to score, try something crazy the 90th minute, and miss the target. And no, I don't think he's the kind of player who deserves to be in Barcelona. Where Barcelona is going to stand next season, so we don't know. But if you don't want to annoy Mr. Messi, you will have to be more effective, think less about yourself, and work harder. And I don't know if Depay is capable of doing that.
Jan, your thoughts on Depay to Barcelona?
I think Frank is right, a lot of what he's saying. When a French talking about leave the king alone, we should know our history. You know what they're doing with the king. So no, I think that Messi's position is massive in Barcelona, and I think it's hard for them to adjust. And I think I remember when they did with Neymar, with Suarez and Messi. Somehow they found a way. They tried to make a way, but it's quite interesting to see a big team like Barcelona, because you think that it's all about philosophy and that academy and everything. And then for them as well as big empires, it's all about the persons who are in charge. And you see that at Barcelona now, the people who are in charge, they can't lead a team. Messi is doing his stuff. And I mean, it's amazing, and it's sad at the same time that mighty Barcelona is on that level at the moment.
Gab, why are Inter targeting more 30-plus-year-old players in Kolarov and Damian? I get the thinking is supposedly in the short term, but surely this is a stretch. Also, what happens to Eriksen at Inter? Kante doesn't like him, so does he go?
So the basic reason is that Antonio Conte has built a time machine in his basement, and he's going to wind the clock back, 5 years, and it's going to work for Alexis Sanchez and Arturo Vidal and Kolarov. And look,
will he have to have hair implants again?
No, I think he'd have to go back about 25 years for that. But look, Conte is a very short-term manager. He makes no secret about it. He's like, I'm here to win, and I want to win now. And he is one of those managers who believes in experience. He believes in fighting spirit and in players with intestinal fortitude and tough guys. And so, Kolarov is a tough guy. Vidal is a tough guy. And these guys are veterans. And he has this reliance on them. I mean, same thing with Ashley Young as well. I mean, another one. I mean, he did very well for him. But look, he's changed a little bit. He has trusted in youth a tiny bit more. We saw that this season with Bastoni and Barella. But, the reality is he wants to win now, and he's not concerned with the longer-term future of the club. And that's why you see decisions like Inter veering away from a guy like Sandro Tonali and instead going for Arturo Vidal, who, was a guy Conte is obsessed with and has been obsessed since he worked with him at Juve.
Frank, why has such a great player in Laporte never been called up to the French national team? excuse me, surely him and Deschamps can settle their differences.
I don't know. I think it's more because already we can see players like Varane, Kimpembe, now Upamecano, or Umtiti still are already settled. Well, especially Umtiti and Langley in competition with Laporte. So Deschamps already made the choices, and he's going to stick with them. And we know that the guy is stubborn and except if Umtiti and Langley are injured, maybe Laporte will have a chance to. I think Deschamps has nothing against Laporte. It's just the fact that he already chosen some players and he wants to stick with them, and that's what it is. And that's very unfortunate for Laporte because he's a fantastic player. But he will have to wait for maybe one day an opportunity to show his talent to Deschamps.
Gab?
I believe he was called up a couple times, and then one time he was supposed to play,
Yeah.
but then he got injured and he withdrew. It's a weird obsession that I'm sorry, I know you're a former teammate, but you know, when you were rattling off these great defenders that France has, I'm like, well, Upamecano is a relative baby. I'll give you Varane, but I mean, you know, it's not like the other guys are Desailly, Laurent Blanc, and Frank Leboeuf, right? You would think that Laporte, who, when fit, is one of the top 2 or 3 center backs in the Premier League, might at least have a shot at being part of a squad, might maybe come on in some bogus friendly, you know, just to go and get a couple appearances. I find it very, very surprising.
I agree. Gabby, I agree with you, but you have to put Varane, and it's why I changed the way I was responding to Dan. Varane and Upamecano mostly will play on the right side, so it's mostly a competition between Langley, Umtiti and Laporte. But you're right, you know, he should have more chances because he's a tremendous defender. But I'm not Didier Deschamps, even if he's my former teammate and a friend of mine. He makes the decision, he's the only one, and he will have to take all responsibility for his acts and his decisions. But that's very sad for Laporte, I agree.
You should call him and ask him, Frank, if he's your mate still.
Well, do you know what I really want? You know, do you want if I want Laporte or Umtiti or Langley? Did I say anything about that? No, that I will keep that for myself. But no, yeah, no, I don't think Deschamps is very stubborn, and even if I call him, nothing will happen.
Would he answer?
What will be my answer?
No, would he answer if you called him on the phone? Or would he just put you to voicemail?
He say, Frank, talk to me about your family, but don't talk football about me. You know, I'm
really?
fed up talking to journalists every day.
Frank, how do you switch your focus tactically when 1 week playing for the club and then the next week playing for your national team?
Well, it's many things have to change. So the leadership first, you know, I was vice captain of Chelsea most of the time that I play with the national team, and it's hard. Even the talking is hard. You know, sometimes I was talking English to my French teammates when I was playing for the national team, which them were speaking to me Italian, like Marcel Desailly, for example, and Didier Deschamps. So that was complicated, but yeah, you have to make sure that you give your best. That's the main thing, the main concern, and you adapt to a quick tactic because you don't have too much time to settle and accept the tactic of the coach depending the team you're going to play against. But we were fortunate because we were mostly at the top of our football. You know, we didn't have to adjust to any opponent. We were doing what we knew the best, meaning getting the ball, fighting hard and giving our best and winning games. And the opponent would have to adapt to our football. So that was quite easy.
Yeah, and was it tricky for you?
It was tricky for a time because we got a new national coach. We were now, of course, on the level of France, but we got a national coach called Aage Olsen, and he wanted us to go forward all the time, never play back, always counter-attack. And in the 90s, that was quite successful because there wasn't a lot of the teams who did that. And I played in England, and England was all for a niner to keep the ball and give it back to the midfielder and give it out to one of the wingers and get into the box. So when I came back to the national team, if I got the ball and I played it back to a midfielder, Aage Olsen would shout in, Swindon, get it off, and things like that. So it's one of those things that I'm thinking back now when I see my career, that that to manage to play, for me, I had to play a different game, being more the guy who looking for the goals in my club level. But at the national team, because we were a team that had to stick together, you had to be so disciplined to the plan how we played and try to adjust that so you were able to play for the national team. If not, Olsen would have threw me out.
Gab, can we expect...
Dan, just one thing that I just thought about, I'm sorry. When I remember talking to Thierry Henry, and he said, when I play, can you launch long balls like you do for Chelsea, And I say, I cannot. Didier Deschamps is always saying, no, give the ball to Zidane. Give the ball to Zidane. That was the main change for me.
Gab, can we expect more activity in the transfer market once the season starts and teams get more idea about what they need?
I think you'll definitely see a lot more activity, closer to October 5th when the transfer window shuts. I mean, part of it is simply, the domino effect. One big transfer happens and then money starts recirculating. Part of it is that, the uncertainty with COVID-19 means that a lot of clubs are just basically a little bit frozen because they don't know what their cash flow is going to be like. They feel like they're going to perhaps have a better idea come September. Already we're seeing, pilots and experiments of fans coming into grounds in a limited capacity across European leagues. So I think, and between that and the fact that, you lose your first 3 games, maybe becomes a little bit easier to persuade whoever controls the purse strings to let you have a few million to buy a new striker. So I think all those things, put together mean that I think we definitely will see a flurry of activity in the last few weeks of the transfer window.
Good question, this. Jan, what does it feel like when your club is shopping you to other clubs? Is it harder to perform on the pitch? And do you feel betrayed?
Well, yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, when I was in England for 5-6 years, and I swapped a lot of clubs because, thank God for me, there was a lot of managers in England at that time thinking that if we lose 3-0 and we had 4 chances, we probably should have had a strike and we would have won 4-3. But having said that, especially in England, because I think based also on the answer Gab made there is a big culture between the countries and leagues, and I think that we will see that. Do you feel betrayed? Yes, but in England, when you play in England, they're selling and dealing and wheeling all the time till we know the transfer deadline day. In Germany is quite slower. They kind of make their squad as soon as they can, and we'll see that with Sancho. Now everybody thinking, but it's the transfer deadline to the 5th of October. But the Germans think differently, and I think in England you're just used to that. And at the time I was there in the 90s, I mean every day, and I can't even remember that we had a transfer window. I think players came and they left more or less every week, and there were always new guys coming into the dressing room. So probably it's something wrong with my memory, but you just felt when in England there were coming players all the time.
Frank?
It never happened to me that I felt that the club was trying to shop me, were selling me to another club. So I felt pretty confident that I would stay to a club and nobody would come to take me over and put me out of the starting 11, except at the end of my time at Chelsea, where I felt Ranieri wanted to put John Terry for every good reasons and put me out. So I felt at that time that I had to leave. Otherwise, I was really comfortable in every season that I play football.
What's that like, Frank?
If I may say, because it's interesting being betrayed and being realistically as well. Because when I was at Middlesbrough, we had 1 striker up front. We played with a 1 and 2 midfielders running around us, and then we signed Fabrizio Ravanelli, and he was just won the Champions League. And we signed a Danish striker, Mikkel Beck, who was 23. So then you just felt, well, maybe like Diana would have said, it's a bit crowded here. So you just have to leave, and you can't feel betrayed. That is a part of the game. I mean, once you come as a replacement, and then somebody else will take your place. I think that is more part of the game.
What a reference! What a reference, Jan. All
right.
Goodness me. Frank, what's it like?
Yeah, but by the way, Jan, because you weren't in the team, we won against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup final with Beck and Ravanelli at front. You know what I mean? It would have been another story if you would have been on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and about that final, Robbie Mustoe tells the story that pretty much there was just like this big fight between the teammates almost before kickoff because of things that Ravanelli had said when he'd gone back to Italy on international duty. It was like the worst preparation ever for an FA Cup final.
Well, I was rooming with Fabrizio Ravanelli before I left, and I knew that there could be some things being said. I still have a good relationship to Ravanelli because he was a funny guy, but for the English he was a bit different, say so. And yes, there was a big fight at breakfast at the FA Cup day, which is I guess it's not the best preparation you can have for a big day, is it?
No, not at all. Okay, right, Gab, do you think Lazio could be the surprise team in the Champions League, seeing how they have top-class players and with more depth, maybe even challenge Juventus?
I'll happily answer that. First of all, I want to point out that Fabrizio Ravanelli is a rather unusual character, not just for the English, but for most Italians now as well. Although, with his,
I love Ravanelli, amore.
Exactly. I especially like the fact that if you ask him what team he played for in England, to this day he still calls them Middlesbrough. He never quite got it down, the whole Middlesbrough thing. But Lazio, I mean, Lazio were on the verge of winning the Serie A title for much of the season, so I don't know how much of a surprise it would necessarily be. I think if they can hang on to their stars, and at the moment, again, the transfer window, like we said, open until October 5th. There's a number of players there who, you know, maybe something happens elsewhere, they move on. I'm thinking particularly of Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic. Acerbi, so important for them. He's looking for a new contract. He's also been linked with other clubs. But if they hang on to those guys, they're adding Muriqi now as another option. Yeah, because look, Juventus, I know they were supposed to be in transition last year. They were in transition. They still won the title. But, you know, Pirlo's kind of starting from scratch now, and everybody a year older. Inter are in the mix, but Conte is so unpredictable, you don't know. So, yeah, I certainly expect Lazio to turn a few heads. I think now I'm realizing your questions about the Champions League. So I see no reason why they can't do and upset a few heavyweights in the Champions League as well.
Final question. Since Higgy can obviously get jiggy with a guitar or violin, what instruments can the rest of the FC crew play? What would be the band name if the FC crew formed one? The Hooligans, Shepherd Pie Delights. Obviously on yesterday's show, Danny Higginbottom talking about the fact that he played violin. He's also owns a guitar but can't play it. Jan, musically, where are you?
I can play piano.
Oh.
I can play Let It Be, and I do Let It Be. I sing Let It Be, and then I leave it there. And everybody says, do one more. And I know him up by myself. I can't do one more. It's the only thing I can. So I can play piano, and then Frankie Goes to Hollywood must be the name of the band, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely. Relax. Love it.
Yeah, relax. Yeah.
Gab, musically, where are you?
I'm nowhere. I mean, I did freestyle a little bit many years ago, but I'm completely tone deaf. I can't sing, and the last instrument I played was the recorder when I was about 7 years old. So no, I'm not as talented as Jan, and obviously not as talented as Frank, who can actually sing for real.
Do you force your daughters to do musical lessons? Do they play musical instruments, Gab? Are you one of those?
No, I'd be happy if they didn't, in fact, but of course they do so by choice, and they're actually pretty decent, I'm told.
Oh,
so,
what are they?
You know, I guess it's their form of rebellion.
Oh, really? What do they play? Please be drums.
They play the viola and the flute.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, it can't be the violin. Has to be the viola with Gab. Frank, obviously we know you can sing.
I'm nowhere near it.
Sorry, no, viola's posh, isn't it? You think violin, viola's a posher violin?
No, actually, you know the main difference? And anybody who wants to get their kids. If you play the violin badly, it sounds absolutely terrible, like somebody's torturing cats. If you play the viola badly, it's, you know, you can kind of put up with it.
Okay.
But the violin played badly is one of the most horrible things you will ever hear.
On the complete opposite scale of that, Frank Leboeuf, of course, 4th in the French version of The Masked Singer, so we know you can sing, Frank. What else musically?
I do sing pretty well, according to my wife,
Yes.
even if I have to work hard on
Show
it.
us. Play Frank, sing a
And
bit,
I
sing a
was
bit.
really pleased with my version of My Way, Frank Sinatra, and I was very happy about it. But otherwise, I don't play any instrument. I followed 2 years courses of piano, but I was like 12, 13, and 14, so it's not enough for me to remember anything about it. So I'm crap in music, and I'm very average in singing. So
No, Frank, you've won the 4th in The Masked Singer. Don't put yourself down.
Yeah, but I was behind a mask and I was recording everything in the studio, so I'm like Chiellini, pretending that I'm good and I'm cheating at the back.
Oh, it all comes back to Chiellini somehow. That is it. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. Back tomorrow for more. Thank you for your tweets. Until then, goodbye. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.